Welcome to the Aaron Harber Show, Your Decision 2018. Today we're going to examine the political ads you love to hate. And joining me today on our expert panel is world-renowned Democratic strategist Steve Welchert. Steve, thanks for joining me.
Hi, Aaron.
It's great having you again on the show.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, always fun. And Zoe DeWolf from Colorado Legislative Services. Zoe, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And Krista Kafer, my favorite radio personality and Denver Post columnist. And by the way, I love your writing in the Post.
Thank you.
It's great having you there, and I hope they keep you for a while, because who knows what's going to happen to the Denver Post these days. And last but not least, former United States congressman, presidential candidate, gubernatorial candidate. What haven't you not run for?
Well, I haven't written for the Denver Post.
All right. And of course, I'm talking about Tom Tancredo. Tom, thanks for being here. Love having you on the show.
Thanks.
All right, so a couple of you, of course, are veterans of the show. A couple of you are not, so this should be fun. We're going to look at ads and get your commentary. And we're going to start off with a gubernatorial race. We'll take a look at an ad, we'll critique it, and we'll talk about different topics related to it. We have a lot of ads to go, so let's go for our first ad, which is, I think, from the Polis campaign.
I don't mind working hard, and I'm proud of working hard.
If the economy is doing well,
Workers like us should do well, too. People used to be able to retire with comfort and dignity.
Colorado is booming, and it's the special interests that are reaping the rewards. Our bills keep going up, but our paychecks aren't keeping up.
We need an economy that works for everyone.
So we all have an opportunity to get ahead.
That's why
I support Jared Polis for governor.
Steve, what's your take on that? Real quickly, and then Zoe, I'm going to ask you.
This is a poll-tested, focus group-tested ad. I mean, it hits on all the key notes, particularly for the left side of the aisle. And everyone feels that way. Their incomes aren't keeping up, and so that's a good ad for everybody.
And Zoe, what do you think of it?
Of course, all of that is true. And then also the imagery in the ad. You've got someone who's working in the healthcare space. We know that polls are showing that people are most interested in healthcare. You've got folks that are working on renewable energy, and you also have people that look like they're working for the steel mill. So it's an appeal to all of the targeted demographics in the state.
All right, Krista, I thought the production values were really good. I thought it was a really well-produced ad, looked good, sounded good. I liked it when the series of people saying the same thing or in succession. I thought that was effective. Is there anything you didn't like about this ad?
Nothing I didn't like. I liked the music. I thought the attractive people. Obviously, it's targeted at working people, at lower middle class, possibly middle class people. It seemed warm. It seemed positive. What's not to like?
Tom, what was your take?
Confusing in that the first part talks about how wonderful the economy is. The rest of it is how bad the economy is for at least some people. But, I think if you ask most Coloradans, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? The answer would be yes. So it's somewhat confusing from that standpoint.
Okay, let's go to another one. We're going to go to Karen and see which one of you cries first.
When my husband Patrick was killed in an accident with a Flight for Life helicopter, Jared Polis stood by me in my darkest hour. He was my best friend. He was the love of my life. I miss him every day. And I always will. Jared Polis stood by me. When he says he's going to stand with you, stand up for you, there's no holding him back. He will do whatever it takes to make sure that the people that he's representing are protected. And he has not faltered 1 second on that. He is not the typical politician. You have to have someone who's persistent, and Jared's persistent. He's not letting up on this.
All right, Tom, what's your take on that ad?
Yeah, I'm full of tears.
I didn't know if it really evoked that emotion or it was your allergies that were making you cry.
That's exactly right. It would have to be the latter, I'm afraid. Well, of course, if you don't know anything about Jared Polis, if you were being introduced to the candidate for the first time, very effective. If you know something about him and his past and his legislative history, you're less excited about it.
All right, Krista, great short, I like that concise answer. Krista.
It's a beautiful commercial, and I think that if you are, you've been in office for a while, no matter what party you're in, you've probably had constituents that you have worked with one-on-one, people that you know, touching stories. Whatever consultant put this together deserves a raise. It's a beautiful commercial.
Zoe.
And I'd agree. This helicopter crash really shook the community up in Vail and Breckenridge, and it makes an appeal to a very specific community. So again, really targeted with those demographics. Smart ad.
I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say that my guy, Ed Perlmutter's the guy who actually wrote the bill, and Jared Polis joined him in that effort. That's a good piece. So look, he's got a couple ads like this. He has the 2 cancer survivor women. He has this woman. And to Tom's point, most voters don't know Jared Polis. And so to that very point, this is their introduction to him. They like this ad. They're going to feel good about this. And boy, women in the suburbs, which is the target audience, that's a home run.
All right. There have been some anti-Polis ads. This is one of my favorites. It's called Island.
When you filed your taxes, you were thinking about stress. But Jared Polis was thinking about the islands, the Cayman Islands. Jared Polis directed an offshore account in the Cayman Islands where investors could avoid U.S. taxes. But back here, the Colorado Springs Gazette says Polis wants to soak the middle class with taxes more than any other Washington politician. And he'd got the Colorado taxpayers' Bill of Rights. Jared Polis will make you work overtime while he's on island time.
I love that ad. I'm ready to have a pina colada after seeing that. But let's run another one.
How bolder is Jared Polis? Polis is so bolder, he's skipping the Grand Junction debate, the first candidate in decades in either party to blow off the western slope. Polis is so bolder, he's pushing a plan to destroy energy jobs. And when he destroys energy jobs, he destroys the other jobs that depend on him. Realtors, accountants, construction, and more. Jared Polis, he plans to wreck the western slope, but he won't even show up in person to say so. So bolder.
So I really like one of the things that, it used to be when an accusation was made, not that many years ago, there'd be a citation, some kind of reference. Today it seems that not only are there not citations, or this one said, independent study, 2015, which is, of course, really easy to research and find out, where that information came from. But it also seems that they're now just making stuff up. There's just not even an effort to pretend to be accurate or honest. But besides the pina colada, Tom, what do you think of those 2 ads?
Well, yeah, I think you're not really supposed to, I guess, analyze them to that extent. If you're the average voter, you're going to, what's the visual? How quickly were they able to get some sort of message across? Pretty quickly, I think, and I don't think anybody's going, well, but I didn't see a citation on that.
All right, fair enough. Krista.
I thought the Boulder one was really good. You had like the hippie van, you had some pictures of him that make him look very Boulder-esque. And the fact is that he is too left for the whole state. And he did boycott that Western Slope debate. And so if this commercial runs and you're a person who isn't comfortable with a hard left turn in this state, I think it's going to be effective.
Do you think that the anti-Boulder, it certainly, for those of us who've been in the state and know the state well, there's been at times a lot of antipathy or envy, whatever the case may be, of Boulder. Do you think that really resonates still today?
It does on the western slope.
Right. Which is where that ran.
Which is where it's supposed to be. Exactly.
Not run over here.
That's what you talked about, targeted.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so what's your take on it?
Well, clearly they only ran the Boulder ad, not outside of Boulder, because that hurts you up there. Look, what's important about those 2 ads is how early they ran those ads. They were trying to define Jared Polis, but for me, it showed the Stapleton campaign was off to an immediate panic attack. They knew they were down. They had to try and catch up. They had to try and smear Polis. And so for me, it's been panic ever since, and it really hasn't stopped.
Zoe, what's your take on those ads?
I followed much of the same conclusion that you did. There was no citation, and it is an appeal to a voter that wants to, check out as far as what these simple messages are. And I think that with the response from kind of the mainstream media narrative, people are getting a little bit more wise to those types of accusations.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because there were 2 Western Slope debates, one with the Grand Junction Sentinel, one with Club 20. Polis declined the Club 20 debate, and I know the Stapleton campaign and allies made a very big deal of that and gave the impression like, oh, he's ignoring the Western Slope. It was interesting because the Polis campaign attitude was, hey, we're doing the televised newspaper and televised Grand Junction one because it reaches more people on the western slope. So I thought that the Stapleton campaign and allies were effectively beat Polis and the Polis campaign over the head with this, but it didn't seem to last very long. It'll be interesting when we see the election results if it had that kind of effect. My guess is it's not going to have had that big of an effect, but we'll see. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more of your favorite ads in just a moment.
There's more of the Aaron Harber Show after this.
There was editing done of the footage of Walker that took a lot of what he said out of context. And
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Isn't
come
that hard?
on.
Does that ever happen, Tom?
I can't imagine that a thing like that would happen in this or any campaign. Well, of course it happens all the time.
For information on how to help promote civil and mutually respectful discourse and support expansion of the distribution of our programs, please email info@harbertv.com.
I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. You can follow the show on Twitter for instant notification of new episodes, live event invitations, outtakes, and behind-the-scene photos. And tweet us your topic and guest suggestions today. I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. I very much would like to hear from you about the program, so please send me an email with your thoughts. You can suggest what topics I should cover, what guests I should invite to be on the show, or even what specific questions you would like me to ask. This is your program, so send your suggestions to aaron@harbertv.com. I promise to personally read every one, so email me today. And most of all, thanks for watching.
Join me and watch The Aaron Harber Show.
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 I'm Reverend Jesse Jackson. Watch The Aaron Harber Show and Keep Hope Alive.
I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. Find us on Facebook to get all the latest updates, see behind-the-scene photos, and make comments and ask me questions. You can see episodes before their TV broadcast, so like the show today.
The Aaron Harber Show may be viewed 24/7 at no charge from any location in the world at harbertv.com.
Welcome back to the show. We're having fun with political ads. We're going to watch 2 ads in the gubernatorial race right now to start off our conversation.
Pencil, penned in. Textbook, getting booked. Locker, lockup. Public schools or prisons. Coloradans value education and opportunity, except for Walker Stapleton. Stapleton says Colorado spends too much on schools, and that Colorado ought to spend that education money on prisons. It's true.
We're already spending too much unchecked money as it is on education, and this is money that can be used for correction services.
That's Walker Stapleton, and that is not Colorado. Oh boy, he's at it again.
That's bona fide false.
Walker Stapleton.
This is false.
And false TV ads, now attacking Jared Polis. The true facts? The Denver Post examined Polis's tax returns, and there was never a time he didn't pay taxes. An innovative business leader, Polis invests to create jobs, while Walker Stapleton stands with Trump. False claims, negative ads, an agenda that hurts Colorado. We can't afford Donald Trump's yes man.
All right, Krista, what's your take on those 2?
Well, they're classic negative ads, right? You've got the grainy film, you've got the dark, he's a dark and menacing character, and then it flashes to the, the second part of the commercial where it's bright and happy, and here's Congressman Polis and his child, and they're walking. It's full of like non sequiturs where, he's for this, but he stands with Trump. Like, these things don't even go together. But I'm not sure if you're open to negative ads, maybe this will hit home.
All right, my understanding is a lot of this isn't even accurate, that there was editing done of the footage of Walker that took a lot of what he said out of context. And yeah, hard. Isn't that hard? Does that ever happen, Tom?
I can't imagine that a thing like that would happen in this or any campaign. Well, of course it happens all the time. The question you have to ask is, why would anybody who is truly, in every poll I've ever seen, ahead as much as Polis is, why do you have to deal with it that way? I mean, why do you have to? You could actually make this just a beautiful campaign of positive ads. You've got all the money in the world. You're swamping the opponent. There's no reason to really do this kind of thing, I think, because It's not accurate, first of all, but I guess who cares?
I think maybe Jared is taking a page out of Donald Trump's strategy, and if you hit him, he's going to
him in Colorado. Donald Trump, that is.
Well, if you hit him, he's going to hit back. So Zoe, your take.
Right, negative ads work, especially for people who have a lesser name ID, kind of, running against an incumbent, and you have to respond to those negative ads. That's the only thing that can start to track your ID back up. So you have to respond in one way or another. I thought this was an interesting wordplay, like pens to penitentiaries. That's something that sticks. Simple messaging.
Well, the entire campaign, in my view, hinged on these two ads. This is where the campaign pivoted.
Really?
Yeah. He debunked the money, the Cayman Islands ads, right, with that shot back, number one, and did it with a third party. Channel 9 News did that for him. And then we talked about sourcing a minute. Zoe mentioned there's no sourcing on some of the ads. When you get the candidate's own voice as your source, then you're home free. Voters assume it's all good and we're good to go. And they put Stapleton in a box that way. They debunked the Cayman Islands piece for Polis, and then you put Stapleton in the same tuxedo as Donald Trump, looking like a fat cat who doesn't care about kids. Game over.
Wow, that's fascinating analysis. Let's surprise everyone and watch a positive ad for Walker Stapleton.
Only one candidate for governor puts the economy first. Walker Stapleton. Fix our roads, fund our schools, save our jobs. A pragmatic leader, Walker Stapleton. Walker will work for Colorado.
All right, Krista, was that convincing?
Well, you got some alliteration in there. Walker will work. That's always a good thing. I thought it was a good ad. Positive. He looks great in the shots. He's talking to people. He is a pragmatic leader. I thought it was a home run.
Tom?
Yawner.
I'm with Tom. Zoe?
It's a little quick to have any message stick in.
Yeah, I didn't think it was I didn't think it was substantive at all, but Steve?
No, it's an introduction for a candidate. It was kind of tough. It kind of slid by for folks.
All right, we're going to jump to another campaign for Attorney General. There have been a lot of ads, including by third-party organizations. But it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've seen a lot of ads that are anti-Phil Weiser, pro-George Brauchler. I haven't seen that many, and maybe I'm not watching enough TV, believe it or not. I haven't seen that many pro-Phil Weiser ads, and I'm really curious what's going on. So let's watch a couple of these in this race first.
I'm George Brauchler. In politics, there's a lot of talking. There's talking about talking and lecturing. But here in Colorado, we're doing. We're learning. We're innovating. We're pioneering. You deserve an attorney general who isn't just talking, but doing. Who will fight for justice and fairness. An attorney general who will keep our families safe. That's been my record as district attorney, and that's what I promise is your next attorney general.
My name is Teresa Hoover. I'm the mother of A.J. Boyk, who was murdered in the Aurora Theater shooting July 20th, 2012. When I first met George, I knew everything was going to be all right. He was the district attorney on the Aurora Theater shooting. He was very focused on the families and doing right for us. I'm proud of George. His leadership, his compassion, his strength, he's always going to stand up for what's right. George is going to be a great attorney general.
I'm Phil Weiser, and when I started running for Attorney General, I knew it'd be about protecting our rights. But to be the people's lawyer, I needed to get out and hear from you. I learned that working at the Justice Department for 2 presidents and at the Supreme Court. As the son of a Holocaust survivor, I believe every right is important, from civil and women's rights to immigrant, land and water, and consumer rights. Together, as your Attorney General, we'll have some work to do.
All right, Steve, I want your take on those 3 ads. And correct me if I'm wrong, am I not seeing a lot of pro-Phil Weiser ads or not?
You have a consultant who's more interested in winning awards than winning a campaign. They ran the same basic campaign, the same ad against Joe Salazar in the summertime, and almost cost him the race. The messages are all over the place. It's not a great ad. I think it's the worst ad of the year for the Democratic side of the aisle from my perspective. And on the Brauchler side, you got to pay attention. These are not Brauchler ads. These are ads run by the Republican Attorney General Association because George has no money. If he had money, he'd run for governor.
So what's really interesting, it struck me in the Weiser ads, which I thought was a huge mistake, is that this looked like an ad for a primary race. You see pictures of Bill Clinton, of Barack Obama, of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's not how you win a general election in Colorado.
And what was interesting about the Brockler ad is that there's the soft troll of Sean Hannity, and I think that appeals to some of the Democrats. I think the Brockler ads were incredibly effective, but I have to say that the Wiser ad wins with the stronger, fairer Wiser.
Yeah.
Well, and those are two really brilliant commercials. Quickly about the Phil Weiser ad, I think it's pretty forgettable. It's cutesy, but forgettable. The Brockler ads were brilliant. You had one that sort of really fits his personality, which is fun, sharp, clever. And then the second ad that we saw, really touching about how he put his heart and soul into that court case. They're two excellent ads.
Tom.
No, I agree. They really looked good, and he looks good. You know what I mean? He's
But
really
what's with the hair? Do you see how his hair changes all the time? I can't do that. You and I can't do that.
We can't do anything
You and I
about
can't
that.
do that.
But no, I really did. I thought those were great ads, and I got to tell you, I'd never seen them before. So, I'm not watching a lot of. When I'm watching commercial television, it's by remote. I mean,
You're only watching my
zooming
show,
through,
right?
I'm only watching yours, and I am zooming through all the commercials. But especially the thing about him, taking credit for the lady saying my son was killed. Okay, so much more effective than the Polis ad by him saying I supported legislation. Anybody can support legislation, as he said. It was really not even his bill that he was talking about. In this case, it was a direct connection. He was the attorney, was the district attorney at the time, had a direct involvement in the case, and so it works in that regard.
And to be fair, on the Polis ad, it was the constituent who said that she worked with the congressman and that she was by his side. So that there is a little parity there.
Well, Tom, you have to understand, Zoe, you have to understand, Tom's a Republican.
But did I not call the other ad a yawner? It was a yawner. I'm going to tell you how I feel about it, one way or the other.
But for viewers coming up this week, here's what they need to pay attention to. The Brockler team is now running a kind of a Willie Horton ad. They're doing that because they're behind in the polls.
Okay, so Willie Horton ad, you're talking about Michael Dukakis when he ran for president 100 years ago.
Yeah, they're running an ad like that against
and
Phil
where
Weiser.
as governor, he pardoned Willie Horton, who went on to commit terrible crimes. So what's also really interesting, and I know we have to take a break, is there are a lot of ads talking about Weiser not having the courtroom or prosecutorial experience, which casts the Attorney General's office as if the Attorney General's in court all the time. And all of us know here that the Attorney General is not someone who's in court, and that kind of expertise really isn't as critical as being conveyed. But I think
but
that
what kind of expertise is needed from the other standpoint, from the standpoint of a professor? Who needs that as the Attorney General?
Well, certainly the main issue is you're running a 300+ person office with a lot of different challenges.
Professors don't do that.
Well, excuse me, I know many who do. Well, not that many.
No, but I would say, to Tom's point, though, I think the Weiser ad reinforces the professor attack from Brockler. Because you're on the whiteboard and you're writing stuff down.
Yeah.
It just reinforces the whole professor.
Yeah, I think they've lost their way. All right, I know we're out of time for this segment. We'll be right back to wrap up part one.
There's more of the Aaron Harber Show after this.
This state is more blue than red. We can all pretty much agree to that. I certainly do, unfortunately. But the tax increases go down all the time. Major tax increases. It's a fascinating aspect of Colorado voters, right? They're not all that crazy about liberal philosophies when it comes to taxation, but everything else seems, I guess, is okay.
For information on how to help promote civil and mutually respectful discourse and support expansion of the distribution of our programs, please email info@harbertv.com.
The Rex Howell Broadcaster of the Year Award recognizes an individual who, through leadership, skill, and dedication, is advancing the broadcast industry in our state and our nation. Tonight, we honor Aaron Harber. Aaron has worked extensively in the media as a host, producer, political and economic commentator, and columnist. Today, the Aaron Harber Show is the focus of his media involvement. Aaron, it is a privilege to present you with the Rex Howell Broadcaster of the Year Award. Congratulations.
just make journalism great again.
Join me and watch the Aaron Harber Show.
Watch the Aaron Harber Show.
Watch the Aaron Harber Show.
Watch the Aaron Harper Show.
Watch the Aaron Harber Show.
I'm Reverend Jesse Jackson. Watch the Aaron Harber Show and Keep Hope Alive.
I'm Aaron Harber, host of the Aaron Harber Show. Find us on Facebook to get all the latest updates, see behind-the-scene photos, and make comments and ask me questions. You can see episodes before their TV broadcast, so like the show today.
The Aaron Harber Show may be viewed 24/7 at no charge from any location in the world at harbortv.com.
Welcome back to the show. This is our final segment for part one of our special two-part series on political ads. We're going to take a quick look at one ad in favor of Proposition 110, Let's Go Colorado, to raise the sales tax to fund road repairs and new construction.
In a few months, I'll be looking for a job. I'm proud of what we've done together these last 8 years, but there's more to do, especially on transportation. 110 is a smart, bipartisan plan to fix our roads, relieve congestion, and protect our quality of life. It'll fund local projects in local communities with local control. So if you want to finally do something to fix transportation, join me and vote yes on 110.
All right, Zoe, what's your take on that ad? You don't look overwhelmed.
Not great production quality, but it does have the Hickenlooper flair and the banjo in the background. It's more to me about Hickenlooper than it is about 110.
Steve?
Yeah, everybody's polls in both parties know that John Hickenlooper is the most popular politician in Colorado, so that's why he's the spokesperson for this, but the ad falls flat. None of the ads are working for this campaign.
Krista, what's your quick take?
I kind of liked it. Anything that Hickenlooper's on, it just seems kind of positive and quirky, and then, there's a nice little graph and that, Colorado with the roads. I thought it was a pleasant ad. I don't know that it would make me vote for that, but then again, I don't know what would make me vote for that.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing in that we have a situation where you're looking at a commercial about an amendment, and you have to recognize that relatively few people, I think, will vote one way or the other because of these kinds of commercials, and will actually read. I think most people will actually read the amendment, and when they do, they'll see it's a tax increase, and they'll vote no, and they won't care about whether or not Hickenlooper supported it.
You think some people will actually read the
I do.
the amendment?
I do think they'll read it.
Mail ballots make that a possibility now.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think a lot of people do read their ballot. So is this going to pass or not?
No.
Krista?
Probably not.
Zoe?
Unfortunately, no.
They're both going to go down, 110 and 109.
And you know what's interesting about that? This state is more blue than red. We can all pretty much agree to that. I certainly do, unfortunately. But the tax increases go down all the time. Major tax increases. It's a fascinating aspect of Colorado voters, right? They're not all that crazy about liberal philosophies when it comes to taxation, but everything else seems, I guess, is okay.
Statewide, you'd be right about that, but the local tax increases almost always pass.
Yeah.
So local government's always the bottom line.
Okay, it's still, we're looking at a statewide, blue-red, I mean.
Right.
It's
I think
funny.
the bottom line is if you make the case effectively to Colorado voters, they'll pass it. And if you don't make it effectively, they don't trust you, and they're going to vote no. All right, well, that's the end of part one of our special two-part series on political ads. Make sure you watch part two. I'm Aaron Harber. We'll see you soon.
Please contact us. We want to hear from you. And thanks for watching.
I'm Aaron Harber, host of the Aaron Harber Show. You can follow the show on Twitter for instant notification of new episodes, live event invitations, outtakes, and behind-the-scene photos. And tweet us your topic and guest suggestions today.